Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday in his address to the nation called this the big bonanza, the Utsav. The government is hoping that the new restructured GST is going to spur a massive, in fact, spending spree by the people that is going to, in fact, once again steamroll the economy forward in the next 2 quarters. The restructuring of the GST has been timed with the first day of the Navaratras and touches every household and every business, as well. Essential items like food, clothes, even services like gyms and salons, everything has been rationalized in the new slabs, the 2 new slabs that are primarily the GST slabs. Now, the finance ministry says the move could add about 2 lakh crore rupees to the economy. They are hoping that people are just going to go out and go on to a spending spree. Let me very quickly first, because the GST has been rolled today, give you some information about what happens from today, what changes are taking place today. Let's just give you a sense with the help of this graphic that we have put out for you. 2 slabs now from the earlier multiple slabs. Now there are only 2 slab structure for most goods across the country. The slabs of 12% and 28% have been removed. There is a 40% tax on luxury goods or something which is known as the sin goods. Household and essential items are going to get cheaper because of the 5 and the 18% slab which has been kept for them. Now 40%, as I told you, tax on the luxury and the sin goods, but 36 important life-saving medicines are going to get cheaper. This is going to help the Aam Aadmi. Life and health insurance, a long pending demand of the opposition of people as well, that they want life insurance and health insurance to be exempted of the GST. That has also been taken care of. Small cars, electronics become cheaper. No GST on stationery items, so a lot less burden on the parents across the country. Dining out gets expensive. Premium clothing, all this is going to get expensive. Hotels stays up to 7,500 are set to become cheaper. Rest would be, of course, under the luxury tax. Now, what could you save? What can you expect? Let me give you a full lowdown of, if you are in this festive season going to go on a spending spree, things that you can buy cheaper this time. Let's very quickly give you a sense of that. If you are a lover of bikes, if you are a rider, and if you are going to in fact buy yourself a bike which is about 1 lakh rupee, you are approximately going to save about 10,000 rupees on that. Cars which are 6 to 8 lakh rupees, the small cars, entry level segment, there the big benefit for the consumers, about 60 to 80,000 rupees are going to be, these cars are going to be cheaper. If your monthly groceries, toiletries bill is about 5,000 rupees, you would be saving about 500 rupees on this as well. Apart from that, 8,000 to 10,000 months on groceries and food, then about 800 to 1,000 rupee per month. If your medicine bill is, about 1,000 rupee, there is a saving of 70 to 100 rupee on that as well. On 10,000 per month cancer drug pack, it is going to get cheaper. These are essential medicines which are going to get cheaper by 500 to 1,200 rupees. And if this festive season you want to gift your family a television, the TV is about 40,000 rupees. So a big TV, about 40-45 inches is going to get cheaper by about 4,000 rupees. ACs are also going to get cheaper. You would now be able to save about 3,500 rupees on an AC worth 35,000. And the school kit, the pencil, the books, the stationery, all that, the school kit is, if it is about 1,000 rupees, it is going to be cheaper. It's now going to cost about 850. So you will save about 150 rupees on that as well. GST has been rolled out. A lot of people on the streets today would be, of course, the beneficiaries of this. Let's very quickly, on this very important topic, listen in to what India has to say.
आपका क्या नाम है, कब आए थे आप बाइक लेने के लिए?
हम एक सप्ताह पहले आए थे सर। उस समय प्राइस बोला गया था 1,20,092 रुपया। आज लिए हैं तो ऑन रोड प्राइस हमको पड़ा 1,12,000 रुपया के आसपास पड़ा।
8,000 रुपए की बचत हुई है।
8,000 रुपये की बचत हुआ।
बहुत खुशी का माने ये है हर आदमी को, चाहे जो भी गाड़ी है ले रहे हैं वो सब, और हर सामान पे है।
25 दिनों से सेल ना के बराबर है, लेकिन इंक्वायरी है, कस्टमर आ रहे हैं, उनको लेना है, वो जानना चाह रहे हैं कि आज क्या रेट है, बाद में क्या होगा। ये फेस्टिवल मेरे ख्याल से लास्ट कई फेस्टिवल से अलग होगा और एक ऐसा मेजर बूस्ट आने वाला है सेल में, जिसमें हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि और आदमी लाना पड़ेगा इसको सेल को मैनेज करने के लिए।
आज आप आए हैं, इंतजार कर रहे थे कि जब जीएसटी की नई दरें लागू।
हाँ, बस उसी के लिए आज से रिड्यूस हुआ है तो फिर नई प्राइसिंग्स क्या है, मैं उसके लिए आया।
कितनी बचत मिल पा रही है आपको?
मैं जो मॉडल देख रहा हूँ उस पर 5 से 6 हज़ार तो पड़ रहे हैं। हाँ, 5 से 6 हज़ार का ये मेरे को सेविंग्स हो रहे हैं।
The medicines that we need at this age, around when we are senior citizens, we need a lot of medicines, and these are quite expensive at the moment. But we can now happily say we are buying it in a much, from today onwards, we are buying it in much cheaper slab.
We welcome this statement of reducing on GST on the medical medicines.
लोग छोटी छोटी टीवियाँ, बजट नहीं होता था तो छोटी छोटी टीवियाँ घर में लगाते थे, तो अभी वो 10% का डिफरेंस आएगा तो लोग 32 की जगह पर 43 का लगाएंगे। मतलब उनका भी जो ख्वाब है वो पूरा होएगा। जो प्रोजेक्टर नहीं ले सकता था वो भी ले सकेगा।
That's the Aam Aadmi speaking. I mean, the people, in fact, speaking about how they are getting the benefits of the GST, their planning of the festive season. But let's come to the politics of it. There is a big credit war which has broken out. The opposition has two important questions. Number one, this whole dhamaka, bonanza, utsav that the Prime Minister spoke about, or at least announced yesterday. Why were people not given this simplification earlier? What took the government 8 years to decide that the GST rollout in this fashion should happen now? The opposition also says, whether it's the Congress party or the TMC, that it was us, the opposition, which has been asking the government to do this. It's their impact that the government finally has decided to, in fact, roll out a simplified GST. The finance minister has hit out at the Congress party and has said this is baseless criticism. Piyush Goyal also said Congress needs a memory jog. They were in power for a long time. Why didn't they do it then? The big credit war on the GST, because it is having a direct impact on the people, and that's where the votes come from. Everybody wants to take credit for that. Take a look.
इस तरीके का कदम राजनीतिक हो सकता है, आप कैसे देखते हैं?
बिल्कुल 100% ये जो उसका क्रेडिट ले रहे हैं, पहली बात उनको ये क्रेडिट ले नहीं सकते, जीएसटी काउंसिल है उसके लिए। और दूसरा, इतने दिनों से आपने इतनी जीएसटी लगा के क्यों रखा था? ये सब का सब सिर्फ इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए हो रहा है।
जब ये जीएसटी लगाया गया था तब इसका विरोध तमाम विपक्षी दलों ने कहा कि भाई इससे पूरी की पूरी स्मॉल स्केल, मीडियम स्केल इंडस्ट्री जो है तबाह हो जाएगी, आपका व्यापारी तबाह हो जाएगा, आपके देश की ग्रोथ रेट पे असर पड़ेगा, महंगाई बढ़ जाएगी। बट उस वक्त भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने नहीं सुनी और 10 साल 2017 में लगा, करीब 8 साल तक इसको देश के ऊपर थोपा गया। अब इसको अगर हटाया भी जा रहा है तो कम से कम भारतीय जनता पार्टी को ये बात माननी चाहिए कि हमारी गलती थी।
सवाल सीधा सा ये है, इसे बढ़ाया किसने था? 8 साल तक बढ़ाकर देश पर बोझ कौन बना रहा? कल आपको रात से माफी मांगनी चाहिए थी। पहले से ही कांग्रेस और विपक्ष कह रहा था कि ये एक स्लैब में होना चाहिए, वन नेशन वन टैक्स।
That's the opposition saying what took the government so long. This is our idea that the government has now implemented. We put them under pressure. In an exclusive interview with NDTV's Rahul Kamal, the Home Minister Amit Shah today, in fact, put aside all these criticism of the opposition and it said that this is the vision of Prime Minister Modi and the BJP. Listen.
जीएसटी बना तब से कुछ नेता इसको डिस्क्रेडिट करने में लगे, बदनाम करने में लगे, गब्बर सिंह टैक्स, फला ठिका बोलते रहे। फिर देखा कि ये सफल हो रहा है, तो ये तो कहा हमारा विचार था, प्रणब मुखर्जी ने विचार किया था, चिदम्बरम ने भी, हमारा विचार आपने चुरा लिया, जबकि वो 10 साल ही रहे थे। मोदी जी ने चौथे साल में डाल दिया था, वो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं कर पाए थे, मोदी जी ने कर दिया था। मगर उस वक्त क्यों इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हुआ, राज्यों ने क्यों विरोध किया था? क्योंकि स्वाभाविक रूप से 16 प्रकार के बिक्री कर को इकट्ठा कर कर एक सेल्स टैक्स बनाते हैं, अब जीएसटी बनाते हैं, एक बिक्री कर बनाते हैं, जिसमें 16 टैक्स मर्ज हो जाएंगे, ऑक्ट्रोय भी हो जाएगी, एक्साइज भी हो जाएगी, सेल्स टैक्स भी हो जाएगा, सेंट्रल सेल्स टैक्स भी हो जाएगा, मनोरंजन कर भी, 16 प्रकार के टैक्स मर्ज करते हैं। तो राज्यों की इनकम पर असर पड़ने वाला था। जब कांग्रेस से विचार लेकर आई तब राज्यों ने कहा था कि भाई हमारे रिसीट पर जो असर पड़ेगा, विपरीत असर पड़ेगा शुरुआती सालों में, इसका भुगतान केंद्र ने करना चाहिए। इन्होंने कहा कर देंगे, तो राज्यों ने कहा इसकी संवैधानिक गारंटी दीजिए, तो गारंटी नहीं दी। अब कोई संवैधानिक गारंटी नहीं देगा तो कौन भरोसा करेगा? मोदी जी ने भी आकर फिर से चर्चाएं शुरू की, अरुण जी उस वक्त वित्त मंत्री थे, सभी राज्यों के वित्त मंत्रियों की वही समस्या फिर से आई। फिर जब इस सोच में आया, उस वक्त में पार्टी का अध्यक्ष था, तब मोदी जी ने कहा कि भाई हम ही कहते थे संवैधानिक गारंटी देना चाहिए, तो हम कैसे पीछे मुड़ सकते? तो इस वक्त वित्त मंत्रालय, ब्यूरोक्रेसी, वित्त मंत्री सभी का बहुत बड़ा जिम्मेदारी आता है कि 5 साल तक आप, लंबे समय तक आप एक 14% इंक्रीज का गारंटी लोगे और इसका भुगतान करोगे। फिर भी उसको मान गए और हमने इस नवंबर महीने तक इसको पूरा भी किया। इसी के कारण जीएसटी सर्वस्वीकृत हुआ, सफल हुआ।
So whose credit is it anyway? Let me very quickly go across at this moment to the guests, those who are joining me on the broadcast. Siddharth Yadav, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Amitabh Tiwari is a political analyst who is also joining us on the broadcast. We also have Pooja Tripathi, spokesperson of the Congress Party, and Nikhil Jain, a political analyst. All of you, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to NDTV. Siddharth, let me begin by asking you, we heard the Home Minister speaking about that this is the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There is no way that the opposition can take any credit as far as this is concerned. While the delay of 8 years, every time you ask this question, the BJP says it is a GST council and it takes time for consensus. If the GST council unanimously has decided this, then how can the BJP only take credit for this?
No, there are two things that have to be understood in this, Ankit. First of all, definitely it is the GST council which has to take decisions. When the slabs were higher, when the GST was introduced, it was the council then as well, which includes the representation of all the states. What we must have to understand that the first problem that was addressed while GST was brought in was the compensation that has to go down to the states. That was the main bone of contention that has always been there while the idea of GST has been rolled out in our country. In the initial years, when all states had to be included in the GST council and a sharing of the tax collection had to happen, enough compensation was to be given to the states so that they also don't feel that their revenue is being decreased by the center. Despite that, we have seen so many times baseless allegations coming up and being said that the due share of revenue is not being given to states. But having said that, the due process of change, the due process of reforms was continuous and was continuously happening. Now, in this era, when we have a one nation, one tax, where one commodity is taxed equally across the country, across states, and it is now, even after 8 years, in the next gen GST that we are that have been introduced and been implemented today, the slabs have also been reduced. I think if one has to draw comparisons, why don't you draw the comparisons from the pre-2014 era? When the opposition today was the ruling dispensation and they had all kinds of taxes that were implemented in this country, including VAT and whatnot, more than 15 taxes. I say don't compare GST 1 with GST 2. Compare their era with the GST. Even after 10, 11 years.
Compare the pre-2014 era. If you compare the pre-2014 era, then the criticism that will be thrown at you would be that at that point of time, the current Prime Minister, who was then the Chief Minister of Gujarat, was tooth and nail opposing the government moving towards the GST regime. Then at that point of time as well, you had a different stance at that point of time, which has changed once you came into the government.
And no, Ankit, I think you just played the interview of Honorable Home Minister, and I think this has been clarified on a lot of occasions that what was the dispute about or what was the objection about. Definitely, if the current opposition was the ruling dispensation then, and they were ruling the center, and if we were in the opposition but we were also ruling few of the states, we need to look after the interests of the states. If a constitutional guarantee for revenue sharing was demanded from the center, or a guarantee that no revenue would be decreased was demanded from the center, why was no confidence building done? Why was no constitutional guarantee given? That was the issue. The issue was not one nation, one tax. It has to be understood. The opposition has been very conveniently trying to portray it that the BJP was against one nation, one tax.
Okay,
it was never
you made your point. Let me go across to Pooja Tripathi. Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir.
The state. It was the case about the GST Council.
Okay,
it was the
you made your point. Let me get Pooja Tripathi. On this. Pooja Tripathi, yesterday Amitabh Tiwari and I were discussing this whole implementation when the Prime Minister was about to make his address to the nation, and Amitabh made a very pertinent point. For the opposition, strategically, as somebody who speaks about political communication, Amitabh is a strategist. He said that opposition making certain demands which are possible low-hanging fruits never works for it. If the opposition said that we want 2 slabs, we challenge the government to implement 2 slabs, the government has done it. And because they have done it, they are going to take credit for the implementation of the rationalization of the GST. Why is the opposition now, in fact, trying to take credit of something which the current dispensation has done?
Let me ask you, Ankit, why is the present dispensation with the earlier dispensation was brutally rude in its policy implementation? Why has it become, accepting every tooth and nail? Is the magic of the number 240? And this is the same GST Siddharth was just mentioning. Please compare it to pre-2014. Why not compare it to GST 1 and 2? When it was introduced in 2017, it was hailed as second Azadi. Nahi Azadi hai. It was introduced at midnight in Parliament, and it was, as if some magic wand has been given. The states are not yet compensated. You want to compare to pre-2014? Chidambaram ji's GST, when it was introduced, had a bracket slab of 18%. But what you introduced a complex dynamic 9-layer GST slab, which World Bank itself called it the most compressed and the second most highest tax rate in the world. And now you're saying, I have a problem with eventification. You provide vaccines in a raging pandemic to the dying population. Thank you, Modi ji. You go to the situation with the neighboring country. Thank you, Modi ji. You are now going to say पहले before or after करके thank you Modi ji के poster लगेंगे. बचत उत्सव is to be celebrated. So what we witnessed in last 8 years with the onslaught of GST, inverted duty structure, states not compensated, essential tax at 28%. Should we celebrate it as utsav? This is bizarre. I think
let me get Amitabh on this. Amitabh, we were discussing this yesterday as well. Once the people start feeling the benefits of the rationalization of the GST, would it matter for them that 8 years back, did Rahul Gandhi or any opposition party spoke about it? They were the ones, those who were saying that it should be rationalized to that. It took 8 years to the government. Or under the current dispensation, if they start getting the benefits for the consumer, for the end user, who's also the voter, it doesn't matter who spoke about it, who gave the relief is more important.
Yeah, essentially public memory is short. I mean, they would go for who has given the actual benefit. Correct. See, you asked a very pertinent question. Why is the BJP taking credit for this reduction? It is because the opposition is not taking credit. You have 10 plus opposition ruled states. Does anybody stop the chief minister of that particular state to do a speech like the Prime Minister did on the eve of Navaratri and take credit for the GST? Nobody did it. Correct. Because you can't do both things parallelly. You can't take credit and you can't also punch holes in the system. If the opposition says that the rates were high and whatever 55,000 crores or lakhs of crores were looted by this government, the GST is shared between the states and the center. So the opposition ruled states also benefited from this, let's say, a higher tax structure earlier. Correct? It's not just that the center benefited. When the GST was introduced, it was a major disruption. And at that point of time, again, based on consensus, some slabs were introduced. After the GST has settled, the government perhaps feels, and on the basis of feedback from states and various think tanks, that it is perhaps the time to reduce the rates and see how it goes forward. So being in opposition, opposing everything also doesn't help.
Right.
I mean, nobody stops a Mamata Banerjee from holding a PC and taking credit, saying that this is a gift from me to the people of the state, and I was the one who have voted in favor of this reduction. That would have been a perfect strategy in a festival season, correct?
So Nikhil Jain, why does the opposition cry foul? If the Prime Minister has a strategy, they have if they have a communication strategy that they want to put forward to the people of something that they have finally been able to do, why is the opposition crying on that? And plus, there are these distinct voices. TMC wants to take credit for this. So is the Congress party. Rahul Gandhi ne kiya, udhar Mamata Didi ne kiya. People are only seeing this as a credit war being fought, while the government has in fact done the rationalization that people were hoping for.
No, Ankit, I don't think the opposition is crying about anything right now. In fact, I'm reminded of the words that leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi said in 2024 to the government of the day, which is the Modi government, Sarkar tumhari, system hamara. You started the debate by saying what took the government 8 years to bring about this change. I'll tell you what took the government 8 years. It took the magic of 240. Finally, they realized that they cannot just keep on looting people and have such draconian tax reforms that you will have, 18% GST on cancer life-saving drugs, you will have 18% GST on life insurance premiums, you will have 5% or I think 12% GST on sanitary napkins. Finally, the government realized that this is not how you can treat the common citizens of the country. Right, and the government might say that this is a very big reform and this and that. I do agree that this is a step in the right direction, but at the same point, this is the same government which introduced a taxation on life insurance premiums, and now they've removed it.
But like Amitabh was saying, Nikhil, very quickly answer this. Very quickly answer this. If you are making that argument, Amitabh was also saying which opposition party in any state took that principle stand that we are not going to take a penny from this GST, which is taxing people on life-saving drugs. You did not. You also, or the opposition also, enjoyed the fruits of those high prices or high taxes on the common people.
Bizarre.
Ankit, but that is not how state systems work. It is a very superfluous argument to make that when the GST is being decided by a council where the BJP has a majority, and when the dues would be distributed between the central government and the state government will first figure out and find out how much of these dues are on account of taxes collected on sanitary napkins and life insurance premiums, and I'm not going to take that money. I think that's a very superfluous argument to make. That is not something which is practical at all. Various opposition parties had raised voices against this, which is why the government did have to remove the taxation on sanitary napkins, for instance, in 2023, and now on life insurance premiums in 2025. And my good friend from the BJP said that there were baseless allegations of pending dues. They were not baseless allegations. Any of your viewers can go out and check reports from the Indian Express, from NDTV, India Today, all the prominent fair news channels and news outlets, and they'd find out that how pretty much every single opposition ruled state has been putting out proof in the public domain.
Okay, Siddharth, respond to what in fact Nikhil and also Mr. Pathi has also said. Hold on, Nikhil. Hold on, Nikhil. Siddharth, let me also ask you. It's all well and good to come out and say big bonanza, Utsav, so on and so forth. It looks like, on the front page, there is this Utsav ad, and then on the second page, this Amazon festival ad as well. The fact remains, Siddharth, that the government data shows that at this point of time, the savings of the common household in India is at its lowest. Where is that money that you are hoping that the people will have, that they can go out on this spending spree?
No, I think, Ankit, I'll answer all what my learned friends have been saying. Let me begin by answering them, and then I'll come to your question. What has to be understood is when GST 1.0 was introduced, there are two aspects to GST. It's not just the end consumer benefit, it's also the ease of doing business. If the ease of doing business was also prioritized, things were dealt in a manner that you heavy taxations across states, different states, wherein it was a situation that sending one material from one state to another state was a nightmare in our country, and helping that out, easing that out, which can boost our economy and create more businesses and opportunities, and in result, making our economy and our GDP go so much higher. If that also was the end result of GST 1.0, it was a major success. But the opposition has been maintaining, one stance from the very beginning. We don't like anything that the government is doing. If it was a GST, we call it a Gabbar Singh tax. We will take all their money that's coming in the GST. We sit in the GST councils every time. We decide collectively what should be the tax rate. We will never say reduce these tax rates, but because we want our due share, we want our money, we want all the enjoyment, all the blame has to go to the government. This was their stance, and that's why where they are today and how they are crying today is very openly and is very evident. Ankit, please let me complete. I think there's some disturbance.
Ankit, can I complete
My point number 2. Now today when the government has decided and government has brought in GST 2.0, introduced this in the GST Council, taken this bold step, I think I would have welcomed if the opposition would have also come together, joined hands. I think they're just over with what they have done.
No, hold on.
To point number 3,
Siddharth, hold on. It can't be just
1.25 lakh. The government
just one monologue. Listen to me. You are saying you would have been happy if the opposition would have joined hands with you to celebrate this massive reform. Of course, but then if this reform was so essential to give relief to Aam Aadmi, the legitimate question then would be, for 8 years, the opposition was saying the same thing. You could have heard them earlier. Aam Aadmi would have got relief earlier.
Ankit, that's what I told you. GST is not just for the end consumer benefit. It is also for the ease of doing business. If GST was introduced and everybody was brought on board, where a major challenge was also to get opposition states on board, because revenue sharing has to go to them, the GST rates could not have been that lower that nobody comes on board. Because ultimately it was also the states' revenue which were ruled by the opposition. If that was prioritized in first instance, where they gave it an economy boost, where it gave a boost to our GDP, and now the benefit is also coming down to the end consumers, I think that's how reforms flow. That's point number 1. Point number 2, when you say
could have been done earlier, that's the argument that the opposition making here. But Pooja Tripathi, very quickly, even if the opposition was asking this and the government has done, it's time that it's a win-win situation for everybody. Why is the opposition criticizing this?
We are criticizing because 8 years you've actually slaughtered the economy. 75,000 MSMEs have been shut, which provide 90% of jobs in informal sector. The savings have dipped to 5.1% of GDP, which is 47-year low, and 124 million people are out of jobs. And now they are saying that we states को compensate करना था, opposition को compensate करना. Sir, you have done exactly what opposition has been demanding from day one. Simplify the tax structure. You have done that. Let's go back to 13 September 2024, Ankit. I remember a video where Mr. Srinivasan from Annapurna restaurant was suggesting to Ms. Sitaraman that there is a 0% tax GST on bun, 5% on cream, and cream one has a GST of 18%. He was saying that consumers कह रहे हैं कि हमें bun और cream अलग से दे दो. And then Nirmala Sitaraman, in her heavy arrogance, she asked the same businessman to issue an apology letter. This is how they were dealing with economy. This is how they were dealing with policy measures. And now they want to celebrate Bachat itself without giving any.
Taking out anecdotes.
Okay, you made your point. I'm completely out of time on this. Amitabh, 10 seconds to you because I'm totally out of time. There are very essential, like the books, toothpaste, other essential things that everybody uses every day. Bihar election is coming up. Do you see an impact politically of this in Bihar? And that is exactly why there is so much tutu mama which is going on politically on this. Amitabh, you're on mute.
Yes, see, ultimately the key lies in transmission. And we discussed yesterday how it is not very easy to pass on the benefits on low value packs, because the automobile sector, the health insurance premiums, electronic goods, etc., because Bihar is largely a rural populace, and we'll have to see whether these low value packs actually reduce the prices or increase the volume of those goods, because that would be the key. Otherwise, the difference would not be felt by the people. Correct? If the price remains the same and 1 gram or 2 gram or 5 gram increases for a 5 rupee product or a 10 rupee.
All right. Nikhil, with apology, I'm sorry I'm completely out of time. Thank you so much to all of you. Like with everything, the proof of the pudding would be in eating it. The challenges would be how to quickly implement this, pass on the benefits to the consumers. If that happens, people are going to, in fact, rave this decision, or else it is going to be something that possibly, immediately is not going to give much political dividends.